Hey everybody, welcome to this short lesson on drawing heads from different angles. So as a story artist, I have to be able to draw characters from any angle imaginable. And while there are almost an infinite number of angles to choose from, there are a few angles that consistently come up on a regular basis. So I want to spend the next few minutes talking about these angles and then giving you some tips on how to draw them. So first, let's talk about what these common angles are. The first is a profile. So this is an angle that you see a lot in film. The second is a straight on. The third is an up angle. The fourth is a down angle. The fifth is a 3/4. The sixth is an up 3/4. The seventh is a down 3/4. And the eighth and final one is the rear 3/4. So these 8 angles you'll find yourself coming back to over and over again if you're storyboarding for film. It'd be very good for you to be able to whip them out almost with your eyes closed, because any angle that's not covered by these can almost always be interpolated by doing some in-betweening between 2 of the 8 angles that are listed. That's the first part of this lesson, is just to identify which 8 angles you want to know by heart. Now the second part of this lesson is the difficult stuff, which is how do you draw them. So the face, like most objects in the world, are incredibly complex. Right? And so when I draw a face, I need to break it down because I'm just not smart enough to process all that complexity at the same time. So I like breaking things down into a few simple shapes. So for heads, I like to use 2 main ones. Number 1 is the sphere, and then number 2 is a pyramid. So I use the sphere to represent the cranium, or the main part of the head. I almost always start with a sphere, trying to represent the majority of the mass of the head. And then the second part, the second shape that I use is a pyramid to represent the nose. So from this profile it's just going to look like a triangle, but if I were to show you the dimensionality of that shape that I'm thinking in my head, it would be a pyramid like this. Using these 2 basic shapes, I can set up the foundation for a drawing of a head from any angle. So let me walk you through it by drawing and testing it out. A lot of times talking about these things is often more difficult than it is to explain it through just demonstration. So why don't I demonstrate for us. So if I were to do if I were doing a rough drawing of a profile, I would start with that sphere, do that pyramid that I was talking about. And then from there I can pretty much build out the rest of the drawing, and it's going to be pretty straightforward. So the sphere and that triangle, that pyramid, become the anchor points from which to base and build the rest of my drawing. So I can start building all the rest of the parts of the face in relation to those 2 shapes, the nose and the cranium. And then I can go in and start really refining the drawing. So hopefully you could see how I started from those 2 really basic shapes and was able to build the foundation for a profile drawing. I could go in and really refine these, but the point is not to make it an exact replica, but just to get across the idea that this is a character who's looking off to the left in profile. So yeah, so there you have a profile built from some very simple basic shapes of a sphere and a pyramid. Let's see how that would work for a straight on. The straight on would be, again, start with the sphere, find that pyramid, that triangle. So once I've got that in place, those 2 elements in place, I can start building everything else around it in relation to those things. You know, people often talk about putting stakes in the ground when you're doing any sort of creative task. And so in many ways this is sort of the equivalent of putting some visual stakes in the ground. So now I can start building Just drawing in relation to all those two basic forms. So it's not a fantastic drawing, but as a board it would do. So that's the straight on. Let's see what an up angle would look like. So again, I want to start with that sphere, and then I want to find out, okay, where's that pyramid, that nose going to go? So essentially it's just that. And then again, I can start building everything else in relation to those two things. So those ears are going to come down here because we're looking at it from an extreme up angle. So that jawline will be about here. So again, not the best drawing, but for a board it will do. Again, you can see how I started with just those two basic shapes of a sphere and a pyramid. So let's see how this works for the down angle. Again, you start with that sphere, and you find out where that pyramid is.
If you're enjoying this video, you're going to love Alex Wu's gesture drawing class on Schoolism. The assignments and the lessons are based off of his class when he would teach gesture drawing at Pixar Studios. To become a high-level professional, we must learn from other high-level professionals. Check out Schoolism.com and sign up for a subscription to his class, Gesture Drawing with Alex Wu. Get the full lessons and assignments and start learning today. Now, back to Alex.
So I could just finesse for hours if I wanted to, but I am not going to do that right now. This is a 3/4. So again, start with that sphere, and then find out where that pyramid is, find out where that nose is. And then from there, you can build sort of the rest of it. See the 3/4. Here's an up 3/4. So again, I'm going to start with that sphere, and then I got to find that pyramid. And once I have that, I can pretty easily build the rest of the drawing. Alright, so let's do two more. This is the down 3/4. So again, I got to find that sphere and that triangle, or that pyramid, and then I pretty much have it after that. And then the rest is just details. Alright, let's do one more. This is the rear 3/4. This is often the most difficult one. I often have trouble with this, but let's see if I don't have any luck today. So this one, that pyramid, we're basically looking at the pyramid from behind. So this is sort of the back of it. Oops. So once you get that in there, it's much easier. I wouldn't say it's that straightforward because this is a pretty hard angle to get, but it makes it a lot easier. You can use the ears too to help you sell those angles. So again, not a great drawing, but good enough for a board. Hopefully this is a good example of how just with some very, very simple shapes you can establish a really solid foundation for drawing a face from almost any angle you can think of. I hope that's helpful for you, so thanks for watching.